And they call me warrior. They call me loyalty. And they call me...
Hi ladies, welcome to American Warrior Combatives, Women's Self-Defense. We're going to kick this off with my good friend Melissa May, who's going to be helping me out today. And the first thing we have to teach you to do before we get into any of the other techniques is actually how to fall down correctly. If you fall down and hit your head on the concrete, if you fall down and hurt your arm or injure yourself, then whatever attacker is attacking you, he just made it a lot easier, or you just made it a lot easier by not falling correctly. So the first thing that Melissa and I are going to teach you is how to do a proper break fall. So the best way to learn this is Melissa and I are going to sit down on our bottoms. All right, we're going to cross our arms and we're just going to rock backwards. Perfect. All right, from the side it looks like this. All right, Melissa and I will do it again. So what Melissa's doing is she's keeping her chin tucked. She wants to be sure that her head doesn't hit the ground. If she rocks backwards and her head hits the ground like this, she can go unconscious. All right, that would give an attacker a huge opportunity. Also, her arms, all right, at a 45-degree angle, and all of her forearm and her palm are hitting the mat or the ground. This stops her from continually to rotate over her head. If her arms were out like this, all right, she would continue to rotate and potentially hurt her shoulder. All right, so that's why it's important to keep your arms at a 45-degree angle, tuck your chin. All right, as a progression for this, Melissa, go ahead and sit up, please. All right, now what we're going to do is we're gonna, instead of sitting on our bottoms this time, because we don't start on our bottoms when someone pushes us down, all right, we're gonna start with our hands across our chest. We're gonna rock backwards, slap the mat, and go ahead and rock on up, Melissa. Okay, so one more time, just what that looks like. Perfect. So you can imagine if Melissa pushed me down, so if she goes to push me, go ahead. If I'm falling backwards and I reach back with my hand, all right, I have a good opportunity of breaking my wrist. If I catch myself like this, I can hurt my shoulder or hurt my elbow, all right? So when somebody pushes me with good force, I've got to be able to do that break fall without snapping my head on the concrete or injuring myself, to give the attacker even more of an advantage. Okay, so now that we know how to fall without injuring ourselves, we've got to learn a defensive position on the ground. And we're going to call that defensive position our base position. So how do we get down to our base position? All right, so Melissa and I are going to go down, we're going to do our break fall, and we're going to sit up, okay? So this position is called our base position. I want you to notice a couple of things that Melissa is doing, okay? Melissa is right-handed. So if you're right-handed, it's going to feel awkward for some people to put their right hand down. They always want to keep their right hand up. But we're putting our power hand down or our right hand down for a specific reason, and I'll get into those reasons in a little while. All right? So what Melissa did, so you guys see, was once she did her break fall, all right, she didn't stop and now try to use all of her core to sit up and do a sit-up, all right? She used the dynamic energy of her fall to sit up, all right? So she didn't waste any energy using her core muscles. She used the kinetic energy from her fall to sit herself back up. So one thing that she's doing, all right? So her right hand is back and it's at a 45-degree angle, okay? There's a specific reason for that. If her right hand was further behind her and an attacker comes in and pushes on her, it can hurt her shoulder, hurt her elbow, or hurt her wrist. If it's at a 45, if it's at a 90-degree angle here, Melissa is very easily tipped over. All right, so she's gonna put it back at a 45. She also has her hips scooted behind her. All right, what her hips allow her to do, scooted behind her, and again with her forward body lean, allow her to take pressure. I'm putting pretty good pressure on Melissa right now. What she's not doing is getting me flattening her out and now having this bigger, stronger attacker on top of her. All right, her left hand comes up and touches her knee. This is simply a touch point, just a warm fuzzy for her to know that her arm's in the right place. It doesn't mean it's glued here. This arm can still strike if it needs to. It can still frame if it needs to, or block if it needs to. All right, it's not stuck. She's also canted off to her right, which means she's leaning over a little bit on her right side. Okay, that's going to help her, all right, when she goes to scoot away and get up. All right, it also kind of puts the weight on her hip a little bit versus the whole side of her leg, because friction will slow us down. So it kind of gives her more of a point to scoot on. All right, her leg is canted off to the right again, and her foot is flat. There's specific reasons for all these things that we're going to show you. This is the perfect base position. Okay, also Melissa's hips, I mentioned already that her hips are back. If she scoots her hips towards me like this too much, like she's going to be reaching out trying to kick me, it's very easy for me to push her over. All right, so once she takes her hips back, scoots her hips back, all right, right there. When I put pressure on her now, that's very different. That is a solid base. All right, I just want to show you, if you have an attacker and he's coming in and you scoot your hips forward and try to reach out and kick him, it gives you this position that you can easily be knocked over in. All right, good.